Monster Hunter series is best known for one thing in particular, and that's its incredibly diverse cast of amazing creatures. Now, many would argue that these monsters are some of the most well thought out and designed creatures you'll find across any media out there, and I would completely agree. These beasts are categorized into specific classes based on certain traits, such as flying wyverns, brute wyverns, fanged beasts, temnocerans, and more. But what might these creatures look like if their designs were altered so that they would fit into a different type from what they currently are? Well, I took it upon myself to show you, so here we go. First, we're going to start off with one of the most popular monsters from the entire series, the Bubble Fox Wyvern, Mizutsune. This monster is classified as a Leviathan type, and was first introduced to the series in Monster Hunter Generations. Like most Leviathans, Mizutsune has a long, slender body. It has dark purple fur along its chest, legs, and tail, with lustrous scales that are somewhat reminiscent to that of a fish. It also has these beautiful fin-like appendages all along its body as well. These monsters secrete a soapy fluid to coat their bodies, which allows them to slip and slide all over the terrain with graceful agility. It can fire these bubbles from its mouth to hinder their foes' movement, and it can also fire pressurized jets of water to deal damage. When it comes to monster designs, this creature is top tier. So I wanted to see what it would look like as a flying wyvern instead. As you can see here, I took the shape of those fins and used those as the basis for the wing designs. I felt like it would really help to stay true to the original design and really just keep the flow of its whole aesthetic. Also, there are these little spots on its fins, so I thought it would be cool to incorporate them into the wings, so it would be somewhat reminiscent of a butterfly with like the false eyes that they have to intimidate foes. For me personally, I think all the members of the Fated Four are some of the best looking monsters in the series. Now, I actually rank Mizutsune here last in terms of the four of them, but it's not a knock on it at all, it's just my own personal taste. But let me know in the comments below which of the Fated Four happens to be your favorite. Overall, I think this redesign turned out pretty solid, and I'm not going to be changing their elements or anything like that, since this is just a change in their classification. And here we have the completed art for the new flying wyvern type Mizutsune. What do y'all think? Did I pull the design off? Rate it in the comments down below for me. And with this one out the way, let's go ahead and move on to the next redesign. Now, this monster here just so happens to be one of my favorites from the series, the Thousand Blade Wyvern Seregios, aka Steve. This razor-sharp beast was first introduced in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Seregios is a bipedal wyvern that is covered in jagged golden scales. Its rugged-looking face features red markings around its piercing eagle eyes, which continue along its body, its head being topped with a single, backwards curving horn. Its monstrous taloned feet are zygodactyl in nature, with 2 toes facing forward and 2 toes facing backwards. Each of Seregios' scales can swivel individually, as it will use them to perform a rattling display when agitated, somewhat like a rattlesnake shaking its tail. It can even fire these dagger-like scales at its foes to cut through them like a hot knife through butter. Now, I'm a sucker for any monster that is covered in things like massive spikes and talons, so Seregios here is right up my alley for a creature design. And since it gives off raptor vibes, I wanted to change its type into that of a wingless bird wyvern. So I chopped off those wings that it knuckle walks on and replaced them with some regular raptor-like arms. I feel like a bird wyvern works a little better with its aesthetic over something like a big old brute wyvern, because I want it to remain as this like really fast and dynamic creature. Even though Seregios made an appearance in Monster Hunter Rise, I really would like to see it make a return in Wilds, I just think it would fit perfectly in over at the Windward's Plain locale. And I also just really love its armor and weapon designs as well, so being able to see them scaled up in graphical quality would be awesome. And here we have the completed redesign for the bird wyvern Seregios. Let me know what y'all think about this new version of Steve and how it turned out. And with this one finished, we'll move on to the final monster of today's video. Alright, so here I'll be redesigning one of the most iconic monsters from the entire series, the Violent World Eater, Devil Joe. Or as many call it, the Pickle. This hellacious monstrosity was first introduced back in Monster Hunter 3. It is a massive bipedal brute wyvern that is easily recognizable by its well-musculared, green, tube-like body. Its thick hide is covered in small, jagged spikes that run all the way from its ugly maw to its chunky tail. It is a very unique looking head with a larger lower jaw and both being covered in row upon row of unsettling looking teeth. Needless to say, this dude has never been to the dentist before in its life. Similar to that of a T-Rex, it's got tiny little forearms, and honestly, I've always felt like its hind legs have looked a little underdeveloped when compared to its hulkish body. Homie must be skipping leg day as well. One of the coolest things about Devil Joe is that when it becomes enraged, its body swells up, revealing these bright red scar-like markings that almost look as if its skin is ripping apart. And as all seasoned hunters know, this monster is a complete asshole and will show up from time to time to intervene in whatever hunt you're currently tasked to handle out in the world. And it's a lot like me in a sense, as it has an extreme metabolism, and as such it must constantly stuff its face with food to keep its gains. For this redesign, I immediately wanted to turn it into an amphibian class, since I just feel like a big old chunky toad would work perfectly with its overall vibes here. Of all the creatures in the Monster Hunter series, Devil Joe is probably one of the easiest to draw in my opinion, mainly because I've been drawing T-Rexes since the day I came out the womb. Devil Joe is definitely one of the most memorable creatures in the game, I would say, and I think pretty much everyone remembers their first time encountering it and just how stressful that shit was, since you were just taken by complete surprise, and just because how insanely aggressive the Great Pickle is in general. One of my favorite things is when it has another monster trapped in its jaws, and it just starts smacking you with like the limp carcass. And I could definitely see this amphibian version here just hopping around and body slamming you constantly in battle, and be every bit as much of an asshole. And here we have the completed piece for the Ravenous Frog Devil Joe. Let me know what y'all think about this version of the Great Pickle in the comments down below. And that's going to be it for today's video. Do me a solid, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like the content and want to see more of it. Also, let me know what sort of redesigns you would like to see in the future. I also plan on posting up my playthrough of Monster Hunter Wilds here on the channel when it releases, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.